In October 1347, 12 ships.
1347.
14th century.
So if it's that long ago, you can just make shit up. You can tell me whatever you want because there's no records.
No, well, strangely, there are records from this incident.
Okay.
And there are some records from that time. So what are we talking? 770 years ago.
Hang on, I'm going to check your maths.
Not precisely. Don't.
You're kind
Sounds
of building
good.
it up. You're kind of building it up. If this is the only thing that's been recorded from 700 years ago.
It's one of the only facts I got. This is and you'll note that I said October. I didn't give you a more precise date than October.
What's a date anyway?
12 ships arrived in the Sicilian port of Messina from the Black Sea. They came from, at the time there was a city, it's now I think it's now a Russian city, was previously a Ukrainian city. Before that had been Ottoman. At the time, 700 years ago, was an Italian port.
It's all Russian.
No,
Russian.
It was very Italian. Spicy meatball.
Depends who you talk to.
Spicy meatball.
All Russian.
It's a Russian Italian.
Is it that kind of podcast?
Or you haven't listened?
You didn't kind of cue me on the doing voices from people of other cultures.
You can do whatever accent you like. Do you want to try one now?
There's some accents you can do and some accents you can't.
Show us your Japanese accent.
Yeah, no.
That's not very good.
Anyway, 12 ships came from the Black Sea.
To somewhere that may or may not have been Russia, Italy, or Turkey.
No, it came to Italy.
Right.
They came to Italy, the Sicilian port of Messina. Now, the people gathered on the docks, they're waiting for the ships to come in. They got all the cargo. They got the good stuff. They brought the ships in, and then they went, holy fuck. Because most of the sailors on board the ships were no longer sailors. They were corpses. And those who were not corpses were pretty close to corpse. They were...
So it was the first self-sailing ships. This is high-tech.
I've always loved the idea if they get there and there's like one person. It's like, I did it all.
Hello?
I did it all.
Hello?
They were covered in the black boils that oozed blood and pus, which obviously if you are in the port, you're like, I love the black boils with blood and pus, but maybe not today.
No, the yellow ones are objectionable.
Turn around.
Yeah. So yes, they did say turn around and get out of the harbour.
Yep.
But in Italian, and the Russian, Ukrainian, Turkish people did not understand. Go away. No. Sorry, нет.
They called them death ships, and they said get out of the harbour.
Why?
It's not really a stretch.
It's really not. We don't like the nickname. It's not nice.
Okay, it's accurate.
But it was too late.
Oh.
Over the next 5 years, the Black Death would kill 75 to 200 million people throughout Eurasia. Estimates suggest that it reduced the population of Europe by some 30 to 60%. So
That's a big fudge factor.
It's Thanos.
It is that. Oh, yeah.
I'm going to bring up Thanos in a second because it literally was Thanos. So
It's almost like we know each other.
I know, right? There were definitely some villages and towns completely wiped out.
Yeah.
Some villages and towns did well and had only 20% or so died. Some actually had almost a very low death toll because Milan, for instance, bricked people up.
Oh.
Once there was a case, they went into lockdown. They went into extreme lockdown.
That is extreme.
They said, you're sick in your family? All of you, go into a house, brick you up. You're all bricked up and goodbye. So
goodbye, not see you later. Goodbye.
So Milan did quite well out of the pandemic.
Look, well is an extremely flexible term in this instance.
Isn't it? He was rather enthusiastic with the well.
Look how well we did. Tell that to the dead.
Dead men tell no tales. So yeah, 200 million people are some of the estimates. The lower estimate is 75 million people. 200 million people is the upper estimate. And we're talking a world population here that might have been about 500 million. So it killed so many people. Now, of course.
That is what the climate change panel call that kind of number. So many. It's so many people.
It's a technical term.
It is.
Now, given that you both joining today and me both come from the Europe, you of course lost people, and I'm sorry for your loss. So it was
when?
In the Black Death.
Is this where you got me here?
700 years ago.
Something you want to break to?
All I'm saying...
Someone died?
Yeah, maybe.
I'm pretty sure we're all related before you go back that far.
Yeah.
Probably. So we all
More
lost
awkward for you two than
our,
me. Carry
our
on.
great-great-grandfather,
Yeah.
plus a few more. But there were some silver linings.
Yep.
So this is.
I'm waiting.
This is no. There were like you killed 200 million people. That's bad, but you move on, and there were some silver linings.
It is what it is.
So first of all, not just it is what it is. There were some good things that came out of the Black Death.
Yeah.
The first one was that
This podcast episode.
Yes. Not often listed amongst the silver linings of the Black Death. The first one, it smashed serfdom. So you know that system that any Monty Python showing peasants being owned by the lords, that ended. That's done after the Black Death. Yeah, no, it was done.
It's basically like trying to find a tradesman at the moment.
Yeah.
There's one in my house right now doing a lot of work.
See?
I have the tradie.
No, the lords were like that. The lords, after the Black Death, they were
We're
like,
wondering if you take money for your work now.
where is the tradie? They no longer had the peasant. Where is the peasant?
You know, the privy, how does the privy work? It seemed to be self-emptying.
Previously, peasants were like, there were more than lords needed.
Yeah.
And so lords were not terribly nice about
No,
this.
there's
And
plenty more where they came from.
didn't pay them anything.
Yeah.
And they were legally bound to stay there. They weren't quite slaves, but they were the step above slaves that is only a tiny bit up. Not much.
What is half a step up from a slave, though?
They could choose who. No, they couldn't choose who they
Super
could marry.
slave?
They could. No, they weren't owned. Like you couldn't be sold. But
That is the step, isn't it?
you have to stay where you are, and you don't get paid. So prisons with jobs still.
Yes.
But
Right.
but yes, there were some slight differences.
We will let you keep your children.
Anyway, gone.
Ones that survive.
Gone. Like like your analogy, Janie, with the tradies. No longer could lords get a serf whenever they wanted, and suddenly they had to pay heaps more. And in fact, this is what I'll come to in a second.
So we're still suffering because of that. Thank you.
No, the next 150 years after the Black Death were a golden age. A golden, particularly for the lower classes, they were a golden age, just like Thanos. That suddenly they had a really great time. In fact, the lords actually passed some laws at some point saying you can't dress like us. You're getting too fancy. we're going to put some laws to say that
Tear
were
those
they?
britches. Rip those britches, son.
Did they just say cod pieces are only for us?
maybe it was
Certain sizes. The Lord started wearing them on the front and the back to show how flamboyant they could be.
Intensely disappointed that I didn't go back and look for the law if it was about cod pieces. I looked to try and find what the sumptuary laws are.
It'd be cloth, surely. The liquidity, what do you call it? The deliciousness of the cloth, that sort of thing.
Probably, because the peasants had gone from rags and blankets as their clothes to something a little bit more fine in their clothing, and lords didn't like that.
No.
Second silver lining of the Black Death: women as well as serfs.
Yay!
There were women before the Black Death.
Yes, I didn't get to the end. Didn't get to the end of my sentence. Suddenly, there's women. Look,
Holy shit! What do we do now?
what happened to your genitals?
They ran away from the plague.
No, women were heaps better off after like the serfs.
And that continues flawlessly into today.
No, but
I thought that was a bit of a blanket statement.
before that,
Comparatively better.
women
Thank
couldn't
you.
inherit
Thank you.
property, and they were usually instructed who they could marry by not their fathers, but by the lords. So the lords would say who you could marry, and no women could own any property. Serfs couldn't own any property. Well, maybe they could own their plates and things like that. But
You're
Plates?
just making that up.
I don't know. I'm sure they could own their
Plates.
plates.
What can you imagine? I want you to go out to that village. I heard rumours of plate ownership.
My plates.
This shall not stand.
You're just thinking about how much you like your various pots and plates and bowls, aren't you? And how much you'd hate not
It
to
would
own
be.
those.
It would be. I would like my special bowl if I am in a serf. If I got through a time machine, and I got sent back to being a serf. I take a few things.
You'd
with
have a
me.
little chain around your neck with your plate and cutlery on it.
It's just a spoon.
Just a spoon.
There's a special spoon.
Big spoon.
Where was that?
There's a whole nother episode in that.
Big spoon. Yeah, so women can suddenly inherit, and suddenly they were allowed to run, to marry who they wanted, and could run a whole bunch more businesses. They could join guilds, run shipping companies, textile businesses, all sorts of things like that before.
Huge shift.
Yeah, huge
That's
shift.
crazy.
Huge
Yeah,
shift.
okay.
So serfs are better off, women are better off. Yes, of course, over the time, the aristocracy and the church clawed back a lot of those things. We know that it hasn't been smooth sailing to utopia for feminism, but never mind.
But now that we're here, we can look back and giggle.
Yeah, no doubt. Number 3, medicine got a big shake-up after the plague. The first reason why...
They invented anything?
Well, yes. Firstly,
Wait.
let's have a medicine.
It seems right. If you add this unguent...
There's a couple of reasons why. One is that obviously the doctors before the plague didn't do very well. So so people are not looking to them anymore.
I stand on my record. Are you sure?
But secondly, the doctors during the plague died. Like they're gone. Like they you know, as a group of people, the nurses and doctors, they did actually try to do something during the plague.
So a whole new wave came in.
Yeah.
And that new wave had new ideas.
This is the ultimate Kuhnian paradigm shift, where suddenly you haven't just got rid of the old degenerative academics; they're gone. They are all dead, and so suddenly there's a whole bunch of new.
I like how you segued straight to dead academics.
Yeah.
Dead old academics.
Dead old academics are everywhere.
We're working on it right now.
You seem quite invested.
Voluntary euthanasia?
They tried two pretty
Yeah.
big things. Too soon. That's not a silver lining. We're not allowed. This is a silver linings podcast.
No one said it was silver lining. Anyway, back to you.
What was I going to say?
Back to the awesomeness of medicine and the new paradigm.
Two things that they brought in after the plague. It was, one is they decided to start looking in bodies. Like previously, it had all been books
Keep talking.
and looking from a distance.
Do you mind if I have a look in there? I'm a doctor.
Wider.
Surely they were cutting people open.
Not really. There was a whole bunch of rules against it. And I think
Yeah.
in a different episode, we did the history of cutting up in bodies. And it's around this
Does
time.
sound like something you'd do.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. It's the one where I told him this. I started off with this story about this guy who they thought he was dead, so they buried him, and he wasn't dead, and he got woken up because the corpse traders had dug him up and were about to cut him open for anatomy.
I just screamed silently and rocked for the whole episode.
No one needs that.
No.
That was an error.
He had a better life afterwards. So yes, they decided to look into bodies. So anatomy became huge. They were like, maybe if we look into the bodies, then we can find out what the plague is doing. And so that was a huge change. Secondly, they also started publishing not just in Latin, but they started publishing in the languages that people could read.
Crimean.
Crimean, probably. I don't know if Crimean actually is a language.
No, it's a beautiful language.
Then
Their
they published-
poetry is unprecedented and multi. Oh, God, it's beautiful.
But they published in English and French and German and things like that. And so normal people can start reading Latin as well. Not that most people, if they were reading, they were probably...
Fuck me, I studied Latin in high school. There's nothing normal
What
about
high
it.
school did you go to?
I
that
went to a
taught
fancy one.
Latin. Jesus.
Everyone said you need to study French, and I said, screw you, I'm going to do Latin because it'll make Monty Python funnier. Dumbest move I ever made.
I love how belligerent you were. You were the bully that wanted Latin as well.
I might be mean, but I can tell you in 5 languages why it's okay for me to do this. Latin's a horrible language to study. It's, yes, interesting, horrible. So, yay, peasants, you get to read Latin. We don't want to.
So a couple of other things happened after the Black Death. You know, there's way more skulls and skeletons in art. I don't know if that's a silver lining or not, but they're cool.
Oh, yeah, it is. Tattoos would have been cooler.
It possibly caused the little ice age that happened through Europe after that, which is really interesting. A whole lot more ethnic violence. That's not a silver lining. That's not good. New religious movements. That's interesting.
Yay.
And might have ushered in the Renaissance. So all of these things happened
By the way.
because of the Black Death. You can guess where I'm going with this.
No?
No?
Yes. So what we're actually imagining is cars full of people covered in black boils approaching the Queensland border.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the Queenslanders going,
Fuck off! Fuck off!
Don't worry, though. In 5 years, the artwork is going to be divine.
that's right.
So yeah, 2020. Everyone says it's the sucky year. It's the terrible one. All of the bad things have happened. And look, they have. We haven't lost 200 million people, thank you. 1.6 million people have died so far of the COVIDs, probably more than that when the impact is there. Inequality has shot up, so more Americans are shoplifting, and the top billionaires have seen their wealth grow by 34% or something.
Thank God.
Elon Musk's wealth has gone up from 24 billion to 126 billion. It's just so unnecessary and so
Why
gross.
don't you just say infinity? How much money you got? I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not going to deny that there's been a lot of bad things that have happened this year, but I
That's
wanted
big
to
of you.
end this year.
Yes.
I wanted to end this year with the biggest bit in global culture. I wanted to look for some silver linings. So I'm going to go through some of those as we go. Welcome to the Wholesome Show, the science podcast for people who sit up the back of the classroom.
In which we talk about all the silver linings, dear listeners, so you don't have to try and see if there are any.
The Wholesome Show is me, Will Grant.
Me, Dr. Roderick Griffin. Okay, plagues aren't all that bad, Lamberts.
Nice. And we are joined today by...
Hey, Janie.
Welcome, Janie.
Hey, Janie. I've never heard you use your full name before.
I was trying to be polite and say hello to everyone, not just barge in with who I am and what I can contribute.
Oh, you can if you want. It's that kind
No,
of work.
that's what you do.
Just first
Women
name?
are
Just
allowed
first name?
No, Janie's fine.
All right. The Wholesome Show is brought to you
Brought to you by
the Australian National Centre for the Public Awareness of Science.
and awesomeness.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed.
Topsness.
We do all sorts of interesting science communication stuff. And if you would like to get one of our degrees, you could, Janie. Are you?
She's crying with delight. She never knew such opportunities would open before her.
Ooh, more education.
That would be that was a strong endorsement just there from Janie. Welcome. All right, I've scoured the bunch of literature. I've looked around. I wanted to find as many things that have been better because of 2020. Now, what I did, I looked through the scientific literature, I looked through the mainstream literature, and then I asked a whole bunch of friends of the podcast if they could tell me what their silver linings are for 2020.
You looked through all the scientific literature.
I did.
Damn, you're good. This is why you get the average bucks.
Well, no, but I did the thing where you put your finger down the page and you just go really fast. So I don't, not full comprehension.
It was a systematic review and meta-analysis.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not a systematic review. It was an unsystematic review.
Academia has a lack of people going from the gut. I've always said that.
All right, I broke this down. There's two big categories of silver linings that I think we can take to the bank from 2020. Well, actually, no, we can't, because the first category is things we can't take to the bank. They're all the things that were short term, which are nice, and people love them as a silver lining. But the second category...
Is it having meetings without wearing pants?
Oh, that definitely came up.
Fuck yeah.
I will definitely play that. Not in so many words, but there is one I will play in a bit. So yeah, we'll go through the short-term things, and look, you can throw in yours as you go. I'd love to hear the things that you have loved throughout this year. So, the stuff that happened very early in the pandemic, a lot of people spoke to me and they said...
Bushfires.
No, that wasn't a silver
not
lining.
Positive? Okay.
No, it's all the playing violin from your balcony, playing tennis on your roof,
all the things that no one we know did.
No, but they did that in those cities and things like that.
Yeah.
Oh, and they're putting the teddy bears in the window.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
People wandered around.
This one
So
here's
your
a very
systematic
Australian one.
review didn't pick that.
But that's right. That's why I'm relying on you to help me remember
to
things.
To be fair, if I was putting a teddy bear in the window, I think that would be less silver lining, more sinister creep down the road.
Nice. The things that
Why
you're
not
allowed to
double
do.
down on
This
what
is
you're
weird.
already good at?
I've always thought this. If you have kids, you're legitimately allowed to play hide and seek. But if you're an adult, you're not allowed to play hide and seek.
I don't know.
I think that's a different game.
Depends
It's
who
a
with.
very different game.
Who with?
Yeah.
Can I hang with your kids, right? We're going to play hide and seek. You can go away.
Well, the other one, this is nice. Two friends spent their pocket money on toilet paper for elderly neighbours. Two little girls here. Look, very Australian story.
That's sickening.
Another one. So there were all of those sorts of people dancing and singing for the nurses and blowing horns and stuff like that. A lot of people love the nature is healing type stories. So
yeah, we fixed that though. We're getting back to normal.
But also a lot of it wasn't photoshopped in the first place.
Some of them were. So there was a famous one. It was Venice, I think. Venice. Suddenly the canals are as clear as crystal,
Full of dolphins.
and full of dolphins, which is just awesome. And I don't think that was real.
Or there might have been like a tiny instance of it a bit, which turned into a utopian mer heaven.
But they're the goats that took over
the
the.
placebo though. Really, if it made everyone feel better.
Oh, I got no beef with it. I don't need facts to feel good.
Placebos are great.
Well, one of the big ones.
Yeah.
I mean, one that wasn't photoshopped was seeing the Himalayas from cities in India where they hadn't seen it for 30 years, and you kind of get to this place where you think I don't remember ever. No
There
one
was a sky,
and it just disappears from your cultural memory, and then all of a sudden you can see the Himalayas. That would blow your mind.
Yeah, that is pretty wild.
I mean, I love seeing mountains. Mountains makes me happy. So, and seeing the Boss Mountains, that'd be awesome.
You really chose the right country to live in.
I know, right? Mountainous Australia. Hey, we are at least in a place where you can theoretically see snow on mountains during the year.
Yes.
From
Yes.
somewhere here. Okay. One of the people that responded to me and sent something back was artist and ANU art school lecturer Anna Raupach. She sent to me one where there's this great story about whales, where suddenly the cruise ships aren't going to all of the places where whales go, and the whales start to sing supposedly a whole bunch of a more complicated song. Because previously they couldn't quite hear each other with all of the noise of the
motorboating.
The motorboating.
What? You had to make it weird.
You were both making that weird.
I said,
Don't back away
I
from
just
it.
say one thing. I'm the victim
but
here.
suddenly the whales can hear each other. And here's the theory, who knows? Yeah. Are they singing more complicated songs and doing more? Or maybe they're just, they can hear each other better, and so they're sick of each other suddenly. I don't know.
Can you imagine that? All right, I can hear you. Shut up.
Okay, a lot of people did the whole baking sourdough. Did you actually do any of that?
No. I bought sourdough though. Does that count?
I bought a lot of sourdough.
But I always
we ate a lot of sourdough.
Yeah,
delicious.
That's true.
Good sourdough, toast,
We
fresh
realised
peanut
people
butter.
could deliver sourdough to your house.
I know.
That was a
definite win.
nice silver lining. That was definitely a lot of people taking up new hobbies, yoga, ballet, guitar playing.
Some people got fit.
Yeah, some people definitely did. Like that French guy that did the marathon on his balcony.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Show me insanity and pain.
I don't have data on whether the whole world got fitter. Let's assume the whole world didn't quite. It's got here. Some people discovered a passion for kayaking, which is I love the idea
That's
that.
quite specific.
But it's also it's not very locked down. I mean, you've got to
in
go
the bath with an ocky strap on the front.
Unless you have quite a manse that has a kayaking river go through it. It's yeah.
Well, and to be fair, not everyone does.
Other people love spending more time with their family.
Other people didn't. Carry on.
No, 100%. Well, we know, actually, sadly, yes, not a silver lining, but we do know that there is data that definitely people didn't. Others got really wanky. So I was reading.
How did you know that?
There's this guy. He's like, I started exchanging handwritten letters with friends near and far, a pastime that has blossomed into a wonderful collection of correspondence. In some cases with people whom I might not otherwise be in touch with at all. Did you?
I'm just thinking, so what did you do? I got really wanky? In what way? I told you, I got really wanky. That's it. That's all I've got. No, I didn't write any, what was that dribbling sincere? Sorry if you're a listener, you're fabulous, but.
Handwritten letters. I can't imagine a world where, but that's nice. It's if that was your hobby and you wanted to do it.
Dearest Chrysanthemum, I hope this letter finds you well.
Okay, other people loved a lot of things that happened to work. So I'll play here, friend of the pod and thesis whisperer Inger Mewburn. She loved what Zoom allowed her to do.
Silver linings for 2020. There's not a lot, but if I had to call one thing out, it would definitely be committee meetings via Zoom. You can turn off your mic, you can turn off your camera. When it's boring, you just treat it like talkback radio. Yeah, do your emails, no one's looking at you, sideways, judging. I'm loving it. I never want to go into a committee meeting in person ever again. I'm hoping that stays.
There was, of course, those who took that further.
And really enjoyed themselves.
In committee meetings and forgot to turn off their mic or their camera. I can't remember there was certainly
Camera.
There was a politician in
Pubin. Was it Pubin? Tubin.
Tubin was the guy that masturbated. I don't remember if he turned off the mic or camera. I can't remember.
It was a woman in the US
A woman.
that went to... She took a shit in the middle of...
Did she really?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that would
took
have
it with
been...
her, took it with her
Yeah.
so she could stay in the meeting, didn't turn the camera off.
So
But luckily, she was a horrible person.
that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
It'd be worse if she turned the camera off and left the microphone on. Not again! This is horrible! Why is it always so difficult?
Oh God. That's awesome. Yeah, I think there was a couple of politicians, one in Argentina or something that showered during their Zoom meeting, and
In his
That's not the
defence,
worst.
he would normally have people come to the bathroom to have meetings live while he showered anyway.
Oh, look, like Lyndon Johnson.
the Lyndon
Johnson. Lyndon Johnson used to have bring his staff in to have meetings while he was on the toilet.
While he was making poopies.
Yeah, because
How long is he in there for?
5 years, I think. No, sorry.
Normal time, 15, 20 minutes. Yeah,
No,
standard.
but there's a toilet off the Oval Office, and he could just go over there, leave the door open, and he'd say, "Come," and here's there.
As he walks in, you hear the zipping. Where the hell are you going? Get back in here. We haven't finished. I wish we had.
I think that Me Too might have solved some of those things. So.
Thanks to the
Well,
Black
look,
Death.
maybe.
Very hopeful of you.
Okay,
Thanks
a lot
to
of
the
people.
Black
A lot of people love not commuting, and of course, that had a lack of commuting and the lack of flying had actually a huge environmental impact. It's probably not going to be something that necessarily stays.
No, we fixed that.
So at their peak, carbon emissions were down 26% on average, countries around the world, which is awesome. Road deaths as well were down 10%, which is cool as well. Except that. Car crash deaths were down, pedestrian deaths were down, but cycling deaths were up, which is not good. Not good. So, okay.
Why?
All right. What about the things that will stay after the pandemic? The getting rid of serfdom and the increased patriarchy.
Do you know what I reckon is a good thing? Maybe I'm preempting, but I hope this stays. In Asian countries, Japan, for example, and China, when they're sick, they would wear a mask. And people from our kinds of countries go over and go, isn't that an interesting quirk? And now I'm hoping this becomes, if there's the slightest chance you've got a sniffle, etc. in normal times, you wear a mask and it's normal. Because, I mean, you look at the flu rate plummet.
Yep, absolutely.
Phenomenal.
Oh, and it's weird that like the gross diseases that come back from schools have been a lot rarer this year. Because people are not sending their kids to school and people aren't going to work when they're sick, even if it's not COVID, but with something else, which is a bloody good thing. That whole, what was it, Codral? Codral you can soldier on.
Yeah.
That is
It's
gone.
a real badge of honour, isn't it? People saying, I'm so sick, but I came anyway. And it's like,
Oh, you're gross.
I bloody yell at them if they turn up at work and sick. I'm like, fuck off home. I don't want your disgusting grossness. This is not noble. This is gross.
Yep.
And I'm not paraphrasing.
And I think that will probably linger. I think masks
so.
are
Yeah.
at a point where people go, okay, that's a totally normal part of society, but staying home when you're sick, and that's a really important one.
Yeah, big time.
So yeah, I think that would. So the big areas that people talked about, and this is a lot in the literature, is medicine just went mad. Like the number of changes they went through. There was people saying this is like a decade's worth of medical science
In some areas, yeah.
in 9 months, but a lot of areas,
Yeah.
a lot of areas like vaccine development, definitely. But
I heard that.
also the collaboration. Yeah, it happened. It was,
heard
but the collaboration between all sorts of different parts of medicine. So going from immunology, biochemistry, how
I'm hearing you.
COVID works in the
Homeopaths, Reiki practitioners, the whole lot got together with oncologists.
Can you imagine that meeting? Yeah, and the homeopath just what you got to do is have less.
Yeah,
of
we're
it
going
all,
to do
less of it all.
chemotherapy, but what we're going to do is we're going to scream chemicals as we run past this water, and then we're going to hand it over. It's going to
I
be
love
great.
the idea of someone just walking into the meeting and then in the middle of the committee meeting, putting down on the table that giant machine. The one that went,
What machine?
You're a lot of machine.
no, the one that Pete Evans was selling.
Oh, the
You
Pete
know,
Evans-a-thon.
It was this big kind of.
All of the cameras
Light
start clicking
something.
off. All of the people start walking away from the Zoom.
It's the magic machine.
Yeah,
What does it fix?
And there you
Bad.
go. So there's a bit of a silver lining. Everyone became an armchair epidemiologist or an armchair immunologist.
And Pete Evans got called out as being a
a bad one.
creative chap.
A creative chap.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, but there was so much more interdisciplinary collaboration, and people were so much more open to that. And
Well, and I think
beautiful.
previously people would have said you can't do that. You can't get a collaboration happening that fast. And then being proved wrong means you open up all those
Isn't
doors.
this classic evidence, though, of needing a mutual enemy?
oh no, totally. This is like Starship Troopers. This is exactly the same.
It's
Exactly
an ugly
the same.
planet, a bug planet. This is what we're talking
But
about.
what you said about collaboration, Dr. Aparna Lal, who I'll play now, talks exactly about that.
Will you?
Let's see.
My silver lining is how easy it has been this year to establish collaborations between universities, industry, and government and communities. Whether we were talking about the impact of the bushfires or COVID-19, the shared goal was clear from the start. The paperwork was next to nothing because of the urgency, and we were all at the same table at the same time. It made research so much easier and more impactful.
So
Oh, can we just pause a moment. The paperwork
I know.
is less.
I like that too.
I'm just taking a little rest.
Imagine these armies of scientists around the world who have suddenly gone, hang on, we don't have to have as much paperwork.
1 page? I misheard you. You said 1 page?
Yeah. So a lot of them.
That's just dirty talk.
They've
bureaucratic porn.
The opening door to better collaboration, and then suddenly just going, but you don't have to do all of the paperwork.
Just collaborate. Just do the science bit.
Just work together.
Far out.
And like there's great stories. You know, there's one where I think she's from Finland, a geneticist. She put out a tweet saying, where's the tweet? Goal: aggregate genetic and clinical information on individuals affected by COVID-19. She got heaps and heaps of replies. 700 geneticists from 36 countries dived in, and they set up this host genetics initiative where they're documenting. So what they're documenting is how different people respond to COVID, and we know that's the big thing. What is going to be the genetics that? Why do some people get long COVID? Why do some people get this?
So we can get a proper division within society of people according to their susceptibility to COVID.
Yeah, exactly.
As the Lord intended.
Lockdown by genetic, maybe? No.
Bricked in.
Bricked in by genetics.
No, it's not. It's not a violation of human rights. It's called Milanese style. It's very continental.
And I assume like that. Yeah, there's a common enemy again, but stuff like that, people are very, very keen to.
This has been the suggestion for years. You know, we really need aliens to come and attack us because then the world will pull together as they get annihilated. And this is the closest example of aliens attacking.
So what? Aliens are going to attack, and then what? Rich people keep getting richer?
Yes.
Yes, probably. Yes. Yeah. Rich people will be fine when aliens come. Sadly,
aliens love money.
Maybe we just put them right out the front. We suggest, okay, Bezos, you're the one.
We want you to represent humanity.
That's right.
Yeah.
Poke him out the front, see what happens.
I like that. Elon Musk can come in the background and just go, I got an idea.
And you're a pedophile.
That's not an idea.
No, but here's another one that I think will continue as well. Telemedicine. No one wants to go and sit. The idea that you would sit in a doctor's waiting room, like
With
the whole concept of a doctor's waiting room, that blows my mind. That you would go, let's all have the sick people where they can cough on each other. It's just
I don't understand how doctors are ever not ill.
I know.
Ever.
Let's and can you imagine doctors just in the idea? Okay, we can see most people through a screen, which keeps all of those germs over there. Okay, there's sometimes where we've got to get the hands on and we've got to look into their organs.
I have to look inside you now.
But in general,
Black Death style.
You don't have to see people for everything. So,
or just the idea that you could do a doctor's appointment in your lunch break or, Saturday morning without leaving the house.
Oh, my God. Yeah, save time. Sharon Friel, another friend of the pod, professor of health equity, also talks about the
hair equity?
Hair equity.
It did sound like that, didn't it?
Health.
He's all about the hair.
Oh.
Leave my hair alone.
Health equity.
But she talks about the way that health has suddenly been put on the same pillar as the economy.
It took a pandemic to shock the system, but 2020 has seen the elevation of health to the same level as the economy. Politicians and the public now speak about these two issues in the same breath. That is good news. We have a glimmer of hope and a window of opportunity to ensure that the economy is a means to an end rather than the end goal itself. The economy can work to ensure health and social and environmental goals.
God, I want that to be true, but there is a part of him that says it won't take long. It won't take long to flick back. I hope I'm
don't
wrong.
know.
But,
I don't know on that one.
I don't know. There has been a clear connection made between the health of individuals and economic outcomes. And so even if they're concentrating on economic outcomes, once that link has been so clearly made, which we already know, anyone who's read any of this stuff knows
like pandemic
people are
leave.
sick, bad for society.
Or sick leave in general. Like the whole concept that you could have people that don't really have sick leave
Yeah.
and we need people to stay home. But like that is such a simple thing
Well,
that
it's proved that over and over again, hasn't it? If people don't have good access to sick leave, look, we get a new wave.
yeah.
And then we have parasitic industries that rely on sickness, etc. And obviously, we all know the cure for cancer exists, but they won't give it to us because they can make more money out of chemo.
I don't know about that.
They won't. You haven't heard? Oh, it's a classic conspiracy theory. The big pharma actually have the cure, but it's not in their interest to just cure everyone. Much more
I had
money.
Heard that for cancer.
Yeah, and they keep that.
Yeah.
They keep that with the car that runs on water in their.
It just runs on positive vibes. You just got to want to go somewhere, and the car
hippie car.
will go. Yeah.
Hippie car.
Yeah. I really want to go to the shops. Cool.
Okay, let's go non-health things. Some other things that people talked about that people sent in to me. So another friend of the pod, Professor of Environmental Science, Saul Cunningham, he loved what it showed about the relationship between environment and mental health.
For me, the silver lining that came out of 2020 was an even deeper appreciation of outdoor environments and how important they are to mental health. So unlike my friends in Melbourne, I only had to endure the light lockdown we had here in Canberra. But even that 6-week period of being asked to stay indoors started to drive me completely bananas. And the solution that for me and my high school aged daughter was to end every day with an hour-long big bicycle adventure in one of the local nature parks as part of our permitted exercise. We'd ride around like mad in the dying light of the day, and sometimes even later. And I absolutely loved doing that. And I loved the fact that so many other Canberrans were also out and about and showing the same strong need to be out in the outdoors, out in the wild. It reminded me how lucky we are to have access to such beautiful places, such a beautiful environment. And I suppose my silver lining is the hope that this time will have made people here and elsewhere more protective of and more engaged with their local wild places.
So the only people who listen to this podcast are eggheads.
There's eggheads and others. Don't you? Everyone likes the environment.
They're all goddamn professors, though. I mean, really.
Oh, no,
it's amazing.
No, there's some other non-professors. I just thought I'd
There were
ask.
some associate professors.
Feckle.
I just wanted to ask people that do think about
I know.
the long term, the big picture.
I know. Representative sample of the population.
Exactly.
I agree with you.
Exactly. But anyway, hasn't it been shown to us? You know, environment makes a big difference.
Yes.
So,
yes, even to people who aren't professors, I agree. I'm
There you
not,
go.
and I think it's great. I like a bit of
The environment's
environment.
great.
I like an
Is that what you're
outdoors.
saying?
Yeah.
all right, here you go. I got a doctor for you.
Thank God. Dumbing it down at last.
I like this one.
My 2020 silver lining is that after years of calling on the men in my life to come and fix things when they break or to answer my dumb questions when I have them, I'm getting shit done for myself, and I'm using power tools, and I'm breaking a lot of things, and I'm just stuffing up all over the place. But there's been no one at my house to really give me too much shit about that. And it's liberating, and I feel like this brand new 2020 feminist. That's my silver lining.
That was Jill Sheppard, who's a lecturer in politics here at ANU. So
You know that can also be achieved by having your husband break his arm and no longer be able to do all those things.
there you go. Yeah, see, emancipation comes through again.
Now
Thanos.
you have to misuse tools and break shit on your own. You can't-
Oh, I had to catch a spider this morning.
There you go. So Thanos could just break half a human, and
Yes.
then everyone would be happier.
Yes.
And then feminism?
Yes.
Maybe.
That's how it works.
I'm not quite
Break
sure.
half the people. Chicks use tools. Liberation.
I think that is also about time, though. It's about people having more time to actually do those things instead of thinking, oh, crap, I've got to fix this in 30 minutes. I've got to take the fastest route or pay someone else to do it.
Before I drive for an hour to my doctor's surgery, wait for 2
Correct.
hours for the... Yeah.
Correct. Whereas if you're looking ahead and going, I can't leave the house for 6 weeks,
Oh,
you
totally.
think, you know what, I might learn how to fix that because I actually have time to do it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, I mean, in a lot of stuff I've seen, really hammering on resilience, like personal resilience, going, okay, I'm in lockdown, you know, some of those terrible lockdown, like the Melbourne lockdown or the stuff that you've seen in America and stuff like that. People go, all right, well, I will start solving that problem myself rather than being reliant on
If it's
the rest of the
resilient. I basically just started drinking milkshakes, eating chips, and seeing what I could do with a hacksaw.
Again, resilience.
Good.
You define resilience how you want.
Thank you.
It made me feel retired. You know, these long weekends where there's like, you know, can't go to the shops, you can't do all this kind of thing. And I thought, well, you know, I might get a project.
I like, look, for us it was even simpler. It became unnecessary for two of us to go to the shops and Saturday morning being full of going to different shops. I said, as a service, don't worry, on Friday mornings I'll just bolt out early and do it all. The weekly shopping trip turned into me just sprinting around for like an hour or so and everything done. And I'm so happy about it.
So efficient.
Yeah, but like, supermarket shopping, I kind of get there, I get back. It's like, you're home already. So, well, I don't like shopping.
I shifted my shopping. I was typically the person before breaking my arm to do the grocery shopping in the house, but I shifted to Friday.
Feminism. Now I get to do it.
Oh, look, see, another freedom, another opportunity.
But shifted to Friday morning when it was the weird zone. Like Friday morning, 8 a.m. There's no one else
It's
around
a great
the
time to go to the
It's
shops.
so good.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
I'm finding everyone talks to me. All these little old ladies having bit of gold conversations on a Friday morning.
Really?
Did you scare them off?
Yeah, well, when I had the mask on and
The hair and the mask.
Yeah, there was a little bit.
Yeah, if you look like me, and I'm also nervous about everyone infecting me with a mask, standing there just going, move faster, checkout person. Not a lot of chats.
To be fair,
You shouldn't
don't
wear the
look
Bane
like
mask.
the most
It's the-
vulnerable person at the shop.
No, I'm not. I'm probably third, maybe fourth.
The vulnerability's on the inside, Janie. You might be big and tough on the outside, but on the inside.
Well, now we know how to cut people open and kind of see that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm like a reverse avocado.
What else do we have? So some people said maybe this is the high point of anti-science. Like that.
Oh no! Hold my beer. I mean, we can make this worse.
I don't buy that.
So this is an interesting one. Their argument was there's now finally a reward system for people to pay attention to the facts, because if you pay attention, you live, and if you don't pay attention, you die.
Yeah, but some people who don't pay attention also live.
Yes. So
We do have a rather large case study of that happening at the moment. It's called the United States.
Exactly.
Really? Explain. No, I Yeah, the problem with that is it ain't a perfect correlation.
No. But I do wonder. I think, if you could say that the last 20 years has seen a growth in various forms of anti-science argument.
Coinciding with the growth in the discipline of psychom, I'm seeing that's not good.
Yeah, we've got, we've it's gone backwards in our time. I'm sorry. That's
pretty
everyone.
1-to-1.
I don't know. That you could say perhaps this might mark a turning point. I don't know. It's tough.
No.
Yeah, look, I got to agree with my psychologically qualified colleague here. I'm less optimistic.
Yeah, but you two both are you're professional pessimists, whereas I'm a professional optimist, and obviously
It's going to be great.
it's going to be great from here on in.
Fuck yeah, it's going to be great. 8% of people will be better.
Yeah, look, okay, maybe some countries. I don't know.
You might be right. He's not right. No.
Okay, that's probably too far off to say. Okay, but the final big sort of thing that a lot of people were saying is, and this might be the one that might be the one, it's opened up their eyes to what's possible. That we've faced so many big challenges over, climate change being the big one, but so many other things that suddenly we can see what we can do. So, Ian,
on a societal level or on a personal level?
Yeah, that's interesting. I reckon both. I think there's a lot of people that personally have said, you know what, I can do these things. It's that personal resilience that Jill was talking about. Or at a societal level, we brought together all of the medically oriented sciences, and they did something that had never been done before. Most vaccines take a decade or more to make, or lots more. I don't even know. Who would know that?
Some take 200 or 300 years.
No one would know that. No one would know.
No, it's impossible to know.
It's impossible to know.
There is no knowledge.
So therefore, I didn't
Wait,
look up.
you reviewed the science literature. You would have seen that.
All I'm saying is I didn't look up that bit, how long it takes, but there is no vaccine that has been done in 9 months, ever, except in Outbreak. Like
the movie.
Dustin Hoffman did it really quickly.
Which was factually very accurate.
Yeah, it was.
Everyone said. I tell you a magnificent achievement that no one thought was possible. I'm convinced without COVID, Trump would have been second elected.
Yeah.
I think COVID defeated Trump.
That's what John Howard said, so...
Oh, now I don't.
He literally said that, so... Yeah, well, what's this? Ian Walker, professor of psychology, said his number one silver lining for 2020 is that the year's disasters have removed all shadow of doubt for all but the flattest of flat earthers that we're living in the Anthropocene. I think that probably has changed. Maybe that's connecting with the anti-science argument. I don't know. Dr. Bec Colvin, she's a lecturer in resources and environment, and she very much said that it's opened our eyes to what is possible.
For me, this relates to the upheaval of the year, encouraging us to reflect on how well we are served by our social and economic systems. Change doesn't always point in the direction that we might think it should, but beginning to question and to imagine alternatives is an important starting point.
Sure. I question alternatives.
I don't know. Look, I think that I don't know. We can make big changes if we need. Society's moved faster, and I don't think a lot of people don't want to go back to the world that it was before.
Yeah, a lot of people don't want to eat too much and want to exercise more too, and that doesn't happen. I'm sorry, I can't help it.
It's almost like this podcast needs a professional optimist and professional pessimist. I get it, but surely
Janie's very quiet on that one too.
Surely in 5 years' time, any policy discussion where someone says, "Oh no, we can't do that,"
yeah,
and then there will be an argument where people are like, "Well, we did it during the pandemic.
It's going to be
we did it.
Remember 2020,"
and people will say, "No, I didn't like that." But there will still be it's whereas previously people would say no, we can't do that, and there wasn't ever an example. Whereas we did make so many changes.
Yeah, you can call it out. That's true.
Okay, here's the last silver lining, which is basically this year is all silver linings. This is
so
Arnagretta
many
Hunter.
things that are assumed to be a standard way of doing things in our community are now up for active discussion. How much do we need to work? How badly should we care for those around us? And how important it is to be caring for across the range of society. So I'm actually going to say that rather than the year of disaster, maybe 2020 has been the year of the silver lining.
There you go.
Sorry, who was that?
That was Arnagretta Hunter, a cardiologist and the ANU Fellow for the Human Future. So, I don't know. What's your silver lining? Is this a year that was positive, or a year that was negative, or all negative with a silver lining?
I like working from home.
There. So do I.
We're back to no pants, aren't we?
I was so surprised.
What is
at
this
that.
pants of which you? No, I like working from home quite a bit.
I was surprised at that. I previously thought that working from home would be my nightmare, that I need to be moving all the time, and suddenly I'm working from home. And as I was strongly reminded last night, the company is way better. Sorry, Rod, but the company is way better at home.
It can be different.
And the food is way better. It's just, and the commute time is so short.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, I like that. Do you have a silver lining?
Yeah, look, I think that last point was really good. It did force everyone to stop and go, hang on, instead of just the running. You know, the running from one thing to another, and God, I've got to get this done, and then I've got to get the next thing done, and then you sleep, and then you wake up, and it keeps going. You know, the kid said the other day, when you get to the end of the week just starts again. It's like,
Oh, God, you grew up fast.
And on and on and on.
Whereas the pandemic kind of just, made everyone pause. And that's pretty amazing. They made the whole world pause.
I was a big pauser anyway. Like, I was very happy to go, no, this weekend is not for any of that shit anyway. So this to me was kind of like a bit more of a proof of concept.
Nice. Well, you had your proof of concept. Could you work from, I don't know, a coastal village somewhere as opposed to? And I get that everyone is in very different workplaces, and of course not everyone has that luxury. But I think in general people could open up a little bit more and think, maybe we can do things differently. I don't have to be on that same treadmill. I
think a lot of people did pause, and they were so worried at the same time. For those of us that were lucky to have the pause and not be terribly worried, just have that kind of generic, maybe this isn't great.
Our industry does lend itself to being able to do what everyone kind of had to do. That's true. A lot of industries do not.
So there you go.
I agree.
So this is probably the last show for 2020. I just wanted to end on a wholesome note.
I see what you did there.
I know that maybe this has been a terrible year, but it's also the year of the silver lining.
God, we're going to look back in 2021 and go, maybe we should delete that episode.
Oh, no, 2021. I was telling the kids, when we were kids, we had to drive around Queensland to avoid the floods to get home.
Yeah.
Last year, we had to avoid bushfires. This year, we've got to avoid COVIDs. Next year, it's killer owls. Like, we've got to drive through Dubbo to avoid the killer owls.
And the gravity wells, where gravity doesn't work quite as efficiently.
Yeah.
It's coming.
The Wholesome Show is me, Will Grant, him, Rod Lamberts, joined today by Janie. Thank you very much.
Hey, Janie.
Hey, Janie.
Full name.
And brought to you by the Australian National Centre for the Public Awareness of Science and Silver Linings.
Yes.
We'll be back at some point.
We'll be back quite early in 2021, William.
Well.